Okay, so today we're going to be working on solving log equations. So I'd like you to put me on pause and do the try this, which is put each of the three logs in exponential form. Okay, and then come back and check your answers. Okay, so let's take a look at the first one. We have log base 2 of x. Log base 2 of x is equal to 4. So my base is 2, so it's 2. And then these two switch, so it's 2 to the 4th is equal to x. All right, let's take a look at number 2. Log base x of 2 is equal to 25. So my base is x, so it's x to the 25th power is equal to 2. And number 3, so I have ln 4 is equal to x. So remember, when you have ln, that's base e, so it's e to the x power is equal to 4. Okay, so now let's look at the different kinds of log equations. So when log is only on one side of the equation, the first thing you're going to do is condense the log, the side of the equation that has a log, if it's necessary. If it's already condensed, then you don't have to do anything. Like this is a log equation, but it's already condensed, so you wouldn't have to do anything. But you put it in exponential form and then try to solve it. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to try to condense the log if you can. Then you're going to put it in exponential form to see if you can solve it. So like, see this here, you can solve this. I could then do x is equal to 16. But if you can't solve it, like this one here, I can't solve this. Then what I would do is I would log both sides. So then I would do log x to the 25th is equal to log 2, and then the 25 would go in front, and then I would solve that equation. Okay, and then you have to check. So make sure when you check, you don't come out with negatives or a 0 when you plug it in. All right, so let's take a look at number 1. So I have log base x, log base 3 of x plus log base 3 of x is equal to 4. All right, so I have an addition problem here. Addition comes from these two being multiplied, so I'm going to condense it. So it's log base 3 of x squared, right, because that's x times x is equal to 4. So now I have one log, and I'm going to put an exponential form. So it's 3, because that's my base, to the 4th power is equal to x squared. So I have x squared is equal to 81. Square root both sides. So I get x is equal to positive negative 9. But this can't be a negative, this can't be a negative, and it can't be a 0 either. So therefore, x is just equal to 9 because you can't have a negative 9. All right, let's take a look at number 2. So I have 4 log 10, base 10 of x minus 6 equals to 11. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is put the 4 back to where it came from. So if I have a number in front of my log, it came from the exponent, so I have to put that back. So it's log base 10 of x minus 6 raised to the 4th power is equal to 11. Okay, so now I'm going to put this in exponential form. So it's 10 to the 11th power is equal to x minus 6 raised to the 4th power. All right, so one way to get rid of the exponent over here on the right side is to multiply by its reciprocal, which is 1/4. And multiply this side by its reciprocal, 1/4. So it's 10 raised to the 11/4 power is equal to x minus 6. Now plug in 10 to the 11/4 power. Plug this into your calculator. And you get 562.34132252 equals x minus 6. And then add 6 to both sides. And we get x is equal to 568.34132252. Okay, so let's flip it over and look at the other log equations. Okay, so now when you have log on both sides of the equation, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to condense both sides of the equation. So wherever your logs are, if you can condense it, you have to bring it down to one log. And then you're going to set the part that has the unknown equal to the part on the other side that matches up to it. You're going to solve it and then check. All right, so let's take a look at number 1. So I have log, base 4 is 64, minus something in division, log base 4 of 16 equals log base 4 of n. So minus comes from dividing. So it's log base 4 of 64 over 16 equals log base 4 of n. So I'm going to simplify 64 over 16. So log base 4 of 64 over 16 comes out to be 4 equals log base 4 of n. So I notice that they're both log base 4, so they have to be equal to each other, so therefore n has to equal 4. All right, let's try number 2. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start condensing. So I notice I have this exponent, this 1/2 in front has to go back to the exponent. So log base 6 of 216 minus log base 6 of 36 to the 1/2 power equals log base 6 of n. Okay, so now the 1/2 power is the square root of 36, so it's log base 6 of 216 minus log base 6 of the square root of 36 equals log base 6 of n. The square root of 36 is 6, so it's log base 6 of 216 minus log base 6 of 6 equals log base 6 of n. Minus comes from them being divided, so it's log base 6 of 216 over 6 equals log base 6 of n. 216 divided by 6 is 36, so it's log base 6 of 36 equals log base 6 of n. So they're both log base 6, so therefore n has to equal 36. All right, and let's try the last one. All right, so I'm going to condense. I see here I have log x plus 5 equals log 6. So remember, there's no base written. That means it's base 10. I see a plus comes from them being multiplied. So it's log x times x plus 5 is equal to log 6. All right, so they're both log 10. They have to be equal to each other, so therefore x times x plus 5 has to be equal to 6. All right, so we're going to distribute. We get x squared plus 5x is equal to 6. Minus 6 from both sides. So we get x squared plus 5x minus 6 equals 0. We're going to factor, master product. What multiplies to 6 minuses to 5 would be 6 and 1, positive 6x, negative 1x. Bring down the 6, bring down the x squared, factor by grouping. So the GCF is x times x plus 6. GCF is negative 1 times x plus 6. So I get x plus 6 times x minus 1 equals 0. So I get x is equal to negative 6 and x is equal to 1. So now, notice though, when I plug in my negative 6, when I plug in negative 6 for the x up here, I can't have that. This cannot be a negative. And negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. That can't happen. So I have to cross out the negative 6. 1 works because I'll have log 1. That's good. This will be log 6, which is good. And then I'll be all done. Okay, so that's it. And have a good night. We'll practice in class tomorrow.